How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On the Ball and welcome back to another episode of Review the Prem in a very significant weekend in the Premier League title race. And we're going to get into all the nitty gritty of each and every single game this weekend. Maybe a significant weekend in the relegation battle as well, which we'll get into. Obviously, me and Sim go head-to-head in predicting each and every Premier League outcome. 204 to 207 in my favour. If you're new round here, the way the scoring works, it's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. And the star man, once you pick that man, you cannot pick them again for the rest of the season. And it's 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. And let's get into it. West Ham against Sunderland down at the bottom. 3-1 to West Ham. They take a barnstormer league 3-0. Sunderland get one back. And, there was a bit of nervy moments after that. Maybe Sunderland could have pegged them another one back. But I thought Sunderland were really poor for the most part in this.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, if you look at their underlying numbers, and I know people don't like to hear it, but their underlying numbers have been pretty poor away from home all season. So I think maybe their results are starting to catch up with them from that respect. That was only their sixth goal away from home all season, away at West Ham. And West Ham have their tails up, don't they? Beating Spurs last week, they came into this in flying form, and they just came flying out the traps, completely overwhelmed Sunderland. Somerville has got his third goal in a row in consecutive games. A brilliant header from him. Got the penalty, Jarrod Bowen scored, and what a goal from Matías Fernandes. Yeah. Unbelievable, 30 yards, rockets it into the top corner. He's one of the players this season for West Ham who's actually had a pretty good season consistently, and not many people are talking about him, I guess, because West Ham have been doing so badly. Obviously, I believe he played for Southampton before, and now he's come back to the Premier League. And there was even some reports suggesting that Real Madrid could be in for him, but I think maybe a bit too far-fetched. But brilliant goal. And also, not only scored a great goal, he then hit the bar in the second half from a similar range. And I think they had a goal ruled out. I can't remember what for late in the game. So West Ham, the question is now, is this the start of something for them? 2 wins. They're looking confident now. They're looking like they got their tails up. And are they about to save themselves?
Yeah, look, I think they've given themselves a fighting chance, no doubt about it. But you're looking at the next couple of games for West Ham. They go Chelsea away, then they got that big game up at Turf Moor. So they got to win that game against Burnley. If they don't win that game against Burnley, I think it's going to become really difficult for them to save themselves, because they got to play Manchester United after that and some other hard games coming. So look, it's a long season, still a lot of time for them to pick up points, but they've got some hard games coming, and it's probably coming at the wrong time for them.
Yeah, but when a team, so even down at the bottom, when they hit this kind of momentum, which looks like they've got a bit of momentum behind them, they might start picking up some unexpected results that you think that could surprise you.
Yeah.
And we'll have to wait and see. But West Ham, as I've said, they are a big team, and as much as they've been awful this season, they have some good players in that squad. They have a good manager. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they do start picking up. I'm not saying they're going to go on some mad winning run, but I'm saying, teams down to the bottom, especially late on in the season, they start picking up surprising results, don't they? And I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham start doing that.
Yeah. Look, I still think there's a lot of work to do for West Ham. Obviously, a very good first opening hour for West Ham, or maybe a bit less than that in this game. Good performance in the first half against Tottenham. They need to build on it, but yeah, I think they lose next weekend against Chelsea. I really do. But Sunderland, their form has started to slide a little bit. They have won one game in their last 6 or 7. But yeah, I think still where they're at right now, mid-table, 10th in the league, is better than they could have hoped to start the season.
I think the aim at the start of the season was probably 17th, and so they've massively outperformed themselves, I think. And as long as they stay up this season, I think they were dreaming of Europe early in the season, but that's, I think, going to prove to be unrealistic, albeit they only are 4 points off 5th, so you never know. But I think their form is starting to revert back to the mean in terms of their quality. I think they got a good squad, and if they build on this, maybe next season they could actually have a go at Europe. I think it's going to come a year too early for them. But mid-table would be an amazing finish.
Yeah, I mean, the chairman said, didn't he, before the transfer window, that their transfer business in January is going to reflect of what their ambitions are this season. I don't think they've signed anyone.
Yeah, it hasn't happened.
So maybe that's what their ambitions are, just survival. But anyway, let's go on to another game down at the bottom, which was Burnley 2, Tottenham 2. Both of us went for Spurs wins. And we should have known. We should have known when both of us predicted Spurs wins. This was a prime candidate for Dr. Tottenham, and that's exactly what happened. Really poor showing, I thought, from both teams, to be honest. I think both teams had moments. Spurs definitely came on strong in the latter stages of the first half, but you cannot do what Spurs did in that second half, and that is just a complete lackluster performance, really poor defending, and gave the game away, essentially. I think Spurs created enough chances to win the game, in my opinion, didn't take them, most of them, and then changes came too late, and we came on strong at the end of the game when the game was pretty much already lost.
Yeah, and that's it for me. I think, yes, we dominated the first half, and yes, we created quite a few moments in the first half, but at the end of the day, we had pretty much a 5-minute spell in the first half where we were really creating chances, got the goal, sat back, conceded sloppily, let the second half get away from us, allowed Burnley back in the game. It wasn't a surprise when they scored, and it only took for us for Burnley to score and go 2-1 up for Tottenham to really kick back into gear and wake up a bit, and we ended up getting a last-minute equaliser, which may well have saved Thomas Frank's job. I think Tottenham are in real trouble at the moment, real trouble. They've got 1 point from 18th and 19th place West Ham and Burnley over the last 2 weeks. We now play City, Man United, a resurgent Man United, Newcastle, which is never an easy game, and Arsenal in the next 4 Premier League games. We have an 8-point gap between us and the relegation zone. We are getting further and further. I mean, put it this way: 2 weeks ago we had a 13-point gap. It's now 8. If we've cut 5 points in 2 weeks, if that happens again, all of a sudden it's 3 points, and you're getting in very scary territory. Thomas Frank is in dicey territory. I think he's very lucky, extremely lucky. He's still in a job. I think the timing has really worked out for him. The fact that there's not really a candidate, an outstanding immediate candidate that people are looking at thinking, just get him in, or this guy could be a good Tottenham manager right now on the market. So that's kind of leading the board to hesitate whether to sack him. They don't want to put an interim in, even though you look at what Man United happening there. Maybe an interim could be the answer for us. So I think Thomas Frank is really struggling. The fans are against him. There's more chance about Thomas Frank out in the away end as well. It's a toxic situation. And I think the reality is we're just not getting the results. And as long as that keeps happening, the pressure is going to continue to build, and it's already at boiling point.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, I speak to a lot of Spurs fans, and I don't think a lot of Spurs fans are taking the threat of relegation or at least being embroiled in a relegation battle at the end of the season too seriously. I think the narrative might change over the next couple of weeks because, like you said, the games that we've got coming up, and it's not even the next 4 games. After that, we play Fulham away, which is always a difficult game. 2 weeks after that, we got to go to Anfield. So the run of next 6 or 7 games are incredibly hard and incredibly difficult for Tottenham Hotspur. So it's very likely that the teams below us can make up some ground. Maybe not be on level points or below them, but they definitely could make some ground, because the teams below us, I know West Ham have won their last 2 games, but they've also got hard games, and I can't see them all going on a winning run. But I think after the next 4 or 5 weeks, Spurs could very realistically be 17th and not too much of a gap between West Ham.
Yeah, and the reality is, in the next 4 games, will we be closer or further away from the relegation zone? And if it's closer, then the alarm bells have to start ringing, because we're already only 8 points away. So I think Tottenham are sleepwalking into a relegation battle. I think the club itself probably are not worried about it, but maybe they will start getting worried about it in the next few weeks. And I wonder, because we know West Ham in this last week of the transfer window, they're going to try and sign some players to improve their situation. Are Tottenham, they've been talking a big game about improving the squad. They've signed a couple of players, but we are well short at the moment, especially with injuries we've got. So if we don't sign anyone from between now and the end of the window, and we have to go with what we got and with this manager, it's scary.
Yeah. I mean, look, things can change very quickly in football for the better or for the worse, and you never know. Spurs could beat Man City this weekend, and West Ham can do I wouldn't put that past Tottenham, going and beating Man City this weekend, and West Ham going to lose to Chelsea, and that obviously puts a bit more daylight between the clubs. But judging by all the teams' form going into it, and with West Ham got Burnley next weekend, it's got to be a worrying situation right now.
To be fair to Burnley, three unbeaten in a row against Liverpool, United, and Spurs.
Yeah,
so
to be honest, like, look, fair play for actually getting the results, but they should have lost all 3 of those games.
Yeah,
that's
Bradford was man of the match probably in all of them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's that. Let's move on to Fulham against Brighton. It finished 2-1 to Fulham. We both went for 2-1 to Fulham, so 5 pointers all round for this one. I mean, look, the story of the day is once again Harry Wilson, free kick, winning it in stoppage time. This guy just seems inevitable right now. He's getting a goal contribution every game, it seems. What a player.
Having a Bale
he
season.
is. He really is. He really is. I think 8 goals. I'm not sure how many assists he's got this season, but
apparently it's 8 goals from like under 1 XG or something. Is that ridiculous? He's a joke. The guy has a wonderful left foot. He's a magician. He's always had throughout his career like an ability to score the odd free kick, or everyone can see there's a guy with like a good quality there. But now he's finally, I don't know, he's what, 27, 28?
28,
he's finally fulfilled his potential. Like at this late stage, it just goes to show like some players, it takes time for them to really either find the right environment or whatever. He's always had good quality, but the season he's having is special. The question is, will bigger clubs start sniffing around him? Is it that good, or is it just a one-off season? We'll leave it to other people to decide that. But
it depends what you call bigger clubs. Like, I don't think anyone in the top 4, top 5, top 6 go for him.
Like, well, a Villa, Newcastle.
Villa, I can see him at Villa.
Someone like that, would they go for him?
Not Newcastle. I can see him at Villa.
But he's just, fair play to him. He's having a wonderful season. Everything he hits seems to go in. Albeit, you have to say, I watched the free kick he scored, and Verbruggen won't be happy with his contribution to that one. But good win for Fulham. Keeps up they've got good home form. They're in good form overall. Now up to 7th, 4 points off 4th, Man United. So they're very much in there in the European spots.
I know, and everyone was tipping them for a relegation battle this year, which is crazy. So massive job that Marco Silva's doing. Look, he's got a few signings this summer, but more or less the same squad as he had last year and the year before. He just seems to be getting more and more out of this squad, juicing more and more out of it as the years go by, doesn't he?
Yeah, and like people like Wilson, who are part of the squad last season, he's just found a new level out of, and they don't really like the strikers they have. On paper, wouldn't move to bigger clubs, but he just seems to have a knack of getting results, especially at home. They're always so hard to play against at home. But Brighton will be frustrated, 1-0 up, and then they had a second goal ruled out through a very tight offside decision. And just how's your luck? That goes against them, and then Wilson goes and puts in the winner.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Manchester City 2, Wolves 0. Both of us went for 2-0, so 5 pointers all round for this one. Again, look, it wasn't the greatest game. I think Man City pretty much just did enough to win the game. Look, Wolves had a chance or two at the other end, but didn't convert them. But look, they rested Haaland, rested Foden. Really nice when you can rest players like that and bring in the likes of Marmoush, and he scores after inside the first 10 minutes of the game, and ultimately wins you the game. So. Look, we know Man City have got talent in abundance. They needed to stop the rot. It was 4 games without a win. They've done that, and they're well and truly back in. Well, they were always in the title race, but now they're banging the title race.
Yeah, 4 points behind. They would have taken this position before the weekend, that's for sure. Semenyo on the score sheet again. He's had a really good start to life at Man City.
First Premier League goal for them.
First Premier League goal after scoring in the Carabao and in the FA Cup. So yeah, fantastic for him. But I think that's obviously a win that you expect Man City to have, and no surprises there. I think the important thing, Marmoush getting back on the score sheet, I don't know when the last time he scored, a long time ago, I feel.
Last season.
Was it last season?
I think so. I don't think he's played too much this season.
That's crazy. He hasn't scored at all this season. So that's obviously great for him and great for City, knowing if he can get back on form. I think one of the stories of the game in this one was there was a referee in charge who were having his first game in charge in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Went to the monitor, was advised to give a penalty, and went against the VAR and said, no, it's a natural position, I'm sticking with my decision. Ballsy, especially on your first game, and I think everyone applauded him, because I didn't think it was a penalty, to be honest. I think it was the right decision. I think the player's arm was in natural position. Marmoush just hits it against him from very close range, and I think it was stupid for VAR to get involved and demand he give a penalty. So credit to that referee.
Yeah, I've been calling for referees to do this for the last 2 years. Like, I get it. maybe you doubt yourself a little bit when the VAR calls you over to the screen to have a look. But as a referee, you got to be able to put that to the back of your mind and look at the screen and don't listen to what's being said in your ear and just literally just look at the screen. Is it a penalty? Is it not a penalty? Make the right decision. And too many referees get swayed of what's been said in their ear, in my opinion. And you see like 99% of the decisions always turn.
Yeah, because they're only being called to the screen because the VAR is telling him you've made a mistake.
Yeah.
And they're not telling them you should have a look at this. Although the pretense is, I guess in theory, he obviously has the final decision, so he could always not go with VAR, but they're really going there to tell him you've made a mistake. You need to overturn the decision. That this is the mistake you've made, essentially. So that's why it's such a high kind of refusal rate. But we all know that VARs keep making mistakes, and you need to make sure that what they're saying is accurate, because too often these VARs are calling referees back to the screen where they just don't need to. And I'm glad this referee stood by his convictions and I think made the right call.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, a barnstorming game at the Vitality. Bournemouth 3, Liverpool 2. Yeah, I mean, it was exactly the game that I was anticipating, to be honest. Chances at either end, goals at either end. Sim went for 2-1 to Liverpool. I went for 2-2. Bournemouth doing me out of a 5-pointer in the 95th minute of the game. There has been hot rumours about Arne Slot and maybe his tenure coming to an end at Liverpool, but nothing confirmed as of yet. I think he might be staying, but we don't know. Yeah, some great goals in this game. Szoboszlai's free kick was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that layoff from Salah, and he just curled it round the wall into the bottom corner. I mean, that guy has got such a strike on him, doesn't he?
Incredible, and he's starting to score more and more goals from outside the box. He was always known as like a great long-range shooter when he was at Leipzig. Hadn't shown it enough so far for Liverpool, but he's starting to show it now. Brilliant from him. Yeah, you always felt, even though Bournemouth were 2-0 up, you just know Bournemouth are the kind of team that the game was far from over.
Yeah.
Even at 2-0, I think they're the highest team in the league for giving up points from winning positions and goals. And as soon as Liverpool got that goal back from Van Dijk, you're like, okay, it's going to be a big second half for Liverpool. You wouldn't be surprised if they turn it around. And to be fair, when they got the equaliser, it was off the back of like sustained pressure, and they deserved it at the time. But again, like with Bournemouth, even though they give you chances, you can never be too comfortable as well, because they always get chances.
Yeah, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh.
Exactly, and that's what it is with a team like Bournemouth. Like, you're never out the game, but you're also never completely in control of it either. And I think Man United found that when they were like and they drew 4-4, they were leading, and then they kept getting pegged back. And that's what Bournemouth are like. You can never be too comfortable.
They've got to be the Premier League's entertainers this year, because last year it was like Brentford, wasn't it? And now it seems to be Bournemouth.
They are a lot of fun, and they did get a bit of a second win late in the game, in the stoppage time, and found that last gasp winner. And the question, there's a lot of reports at the moment, not reports really, it's kind of ITKs and rumours about Arne Slot. Is he on his last legs? Has he been sacked? That was, to be fair, it was their first defeat in 13, albeit I think half of them have been draws.
Yeah.
So it's not like the most impressive unbeaten run, but it is an unbeaten run at the end of the day. Had they had that loss, drops them to 6th in the table. They're now winless in 5, with 4 draws and a loss in their last 5 games. Alonso's there, waiting in the wings, ready to be snapped up at any moment. Is Slot going to see out the season? Is he going to be sacked mid-season? Do you believe the ITKs? Has he gone? Or, there's no confirmation and no real reliable reports at the moment saying there's anything to it, although no one's saying he's safe either. Do you think it's true? Do you think he's gone?
No, I think he's still there, and I think he'll take the game this weekend.
Or midweek as well.
Midweek in the Champions League. I mean, I think if he would have gone, I think we would know by now if he's gone or not. And
would have gone Ornstein bomber.
Yeah, exactly, and nothing of the reliable nature has come through to say Arne Slot has gone. So that says to me that he's still there. Not to say that he won't be gone if the results carry on like this over the next few weeks. There's rumours that Stevie G is waiting in the wings for an interim role until they sort out Xavi Alonso as a permanent replacement. But I think it's all there. It's all there in front of them, isn't it? Xabi Alonso's there. So Arne Slot should be definitely very worried for his job.
Yeah, I think before the game, all the kind of reports were they're sticking by Slot, they're not thinking about sacking him. and it's obviously gone very quiet, but it's very similar. It was quite similar to the day after the West Ham game for Tottenham fans. Like all the ITKs, like he's gone, he's been sacked, and obviously nothing ever happened. It feels like the same thing here. There's all these rumours and stuff, but nothing's been confirmed.
It's called engagement farming.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I think he's obviously lucky to still be in the job, given their run of form. 5 wins since September is crazy, considering the talent they have in the squad. And they're not playing well. They still can't quite get any sort of consistency at the moment. But does he get leeway for winning the league last season? I guess you could look at it either way. But I think Alonso, if they don't take up this opportunity to get him in and he goes to a City or something and then he goes on to smash it there, will they be looking at that thinking, what were we doing? Why didn't we just get him in when we had the chance? So I feel like it's too big of an opportunity to miss out on now he's available. Probably an unexpected one, given that he's been sacked by Madrid after 6 months. Probably didn't expect this one to open up for a while. And here it is. You've got to kind of snatch it, I think.
Yeah, look, the reality is Xabi Alonso was their first choice before Arne Slot.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he went to Real Madrid, or he decided to stay at Leverkusen for another year.
Yeah.
And look, I think this is just a move waiting to happen. I think it's inevitable that it will happen.
Rumours that Tottenham, with Heitinga as assistant, would look at Slot if he was to be sacked.
Yeah.
So could there be a merry-go-round here?
I think there could be a genuine chance if he's sacked midway through the season or in the next few weeks. But I do believe if they wait till the end of the season to sack him, I just think they're going to favour Poch over it. I don't know if that'd be the right call, but I think I kind of like the idea. I was always against Arne Slot whenever we've spoken about it this season. But I don't know, I kind of like the idea with Heitinga and Slot, Premier League winning duo.
Exactly. I'll be in favour of it. Obviously, he was one of our top choices earlier when he turned us down and we ended up, I think that was the time we ended up getting Nuno, wasn't it? Or was it? No, we ended up getting Ange.
Yeah, we got Ange.
We got Ange that summer. So, and then he obviously went on to win the Premier League. I think he's a good manager. I think there's a lot of circumstances why it's happened this season for Liverpool. Obviously, he's a big part of that. They haven't been able to get ahead of the problems they've had, and obviously that's the manager's job to deal with the problems. And I'm not saying he's blameless, but I also don't think it's totally on his fault. There's been a lot of change, a lot of injuries and whatnot, and there's been a lot of problems.
I think the money's been spent in a horrendous way for Liverpool.
The squad planning's been terrible. Maybe also Heitinga, him leaving, have they replaced him well? I also think the kind of dynamics of the squad with Trent being replaced by like a Frimpong, who's a very different player.
Who's barely got on the pitch as well.
He's also not got on the pitch much. So I think...
And the Isaac situation.
Yeah, but whether that's all on Slot, how much... I'm not saying he's like... They say Isaac 125 million. He's like, no, I don't want him. But how much of the big money spent was him saying, I want that player? Or was it kind of the sporting directors like, we're going to get this for 100 million and you're just going to have to fit him into the team? I don't know. I'm not saying Slot wouldn't want these players. I'm just saying if he was planning a team when it comes to just dynamics as opposed to just getting as many good players in as possible, would he have gone for those specific types of players? I don't know. I'm not in the background, but I would say that if I would be excited about Slot coming to Spurs only because he plays attacking football. I think he's a good manager, and I think he could maybe do a good job here. I think he's got his assistant here with Heitinga, and I know it's gone wrong for him, but who are we to turn up a Premier League winning manager who won the Premier League last season? Yeah,
I think as well. Like you're looking at the makeup of their squad and looking at that front line. They got no wingers. They got Mohamed Salah, and that's about it. Like they don't have any other natural wingers. Gakpo's not a natural winger.
He's more of a forward.
Frimpong's not a natural winger. So it's just like it's mad when you spent so much money. So much change, and the balance of the squad is so wrong.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Agreed. I think the squad planning has been just a bit all over the place, and maybe obviously everyone, when we signed all those players, and then some were like, okay, well they're just going to win the league again. I think sometimes those things just get overlooked. I think you mention them, and then you think, well, it's still Isaac, it's still Wirtz, it's still all these amazing players. Like, how can it not work? But then you actually, when you put it down on paper, you're like, well, where do all these players play? Where do they fit in? Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, you can put Wirtz on the left, you can do all this kind of stuff, but they've never really got the balance right, have they?
Yeah. And
also defenders. They
signed Ekitike and literally moved heaven and earth to bring Isaac to the club when actually they probably should have gone for a winger instead of Isaac.
Yeah, I think they'll be in a better position right now.
Yeah.
And also the defence, they neglected that. I know they tried to get Guehi, but they didn't, and they ended up in the position they are now, where Konate's had an awful season and they've had no alternative.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, they're still in the mix for the top 4 race, that's for sure. So we'll have to wait and see how things pan out from here. We move on to Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 2. Sim went for 2-2. I went for 3-1 to Brentford. And you know what? Brentford got well and truly dyched in this game. Like, Brentford were the better team on the day, in my opinion. They created most of the chances. They had most of the game. It felt like Nottingham Forest just had 2 moments. One in the first half, one in the second half, and they won the game 2-0.
Pretty much. And got away with it a bit, although great goal from Igor Jesus at the beginning. Kind of Ole Einar doing so well to keep it in, and then Igor Jesus just chesting the ball and volleying it brilliantly. So fair play to Forest, who've taken the lead, and then against runner play. And Brentford huffed and they puffed, and they had so many shots, and Thiago missing lots of chances, and what's it called, the keeper for Forest was in fine form as well, and they just held strong. They defended well, but they did give up chances, and the keeper had to be in good form, and they got that late goal. Aoyoni, his first goal in a while. I think he's obviously been suffering lack of form and injuries, and they seem to mean a lot to him, scoring that goal, running into space, and really good finish. And this was a result massively needed by Forest and Dyche after West Ham winning earlier in the day. So that was obviously a massive result for them. Performance-wise, not overly impressive, but at this point, when you're down at the bottom, it's all about getting results, isn't it? And this was a big one, especially against a Brentford team who've obviously been brilliant form in general, and especially at home.
Forest going through a big moment now. Next 3 games. Palace at home, who are 1 place above them in the league. Leeds away, and Wolves at home. So they could actually pick up quite a few points over this next 3 weeks.
Massive. And they've obviously got a big Europa League tie, I think, because I think they need to win. They need to win to get into the
Robbie
top 8.
Keane's Ferencvaros.
They're currently in 16th. Well, unlikely to get into the top 8. So they could add a couple. They could get a couple more. Get fixtures in the playoff, which probably could do without right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Crystal Palace 1, Chelsea 3. Liam Rosenior's tenure at Chelsea keeps on moving. I think he's won every game apart from the Arsenal game in the Cup so far, but that's a 2-legged tie, that one to come. I went for 2-1 to Chelsea. You went for 2-0 to Chelsea. João Pedro back in the goals. I mean, he seems to have improved his form a lot since Rosenior's come in, starting to score again. And Estival, goal and assist in this game, as well as Chelsea were deserved winners at Selhurst Park.
Yeah, and I think, again, the story here, I know Chelsea won and played well, but Palace just seem absolutely lost. They seem, at the moment, I feel bad for them. It's like they're in a situation where it's unavoidable, but also completely, like, they were on such a high last season, brilliant season in the Premier League, like finishing mid-table and following up with that FA Cup win. Glasner with Eze and Mateta and Guehi, and everyone seemed to be in such a good place. It was like, this is Palace. Maybe it peaked. Maybe the whole thing peaked at that point because they've lost Guehi. Mateta's put in a transfer request. Eze's left. Glasner's confirmed he wants to be gone by the end of the season. And it seems like the whole thing is falling apart at the moment. They're, I think, 11 games in all competitions without a win, 9 games in the Premier League without a win as well. They're losing games with soft goals. Mistakes are being made consistently at the back. They're leaking from set pieces as well. There's just, you can see it within the team. There's just something completely not right on the pitch at the moment. Maybe it's the fact that the players know the manager's not going to be there by the end of the season, and they've just lost something. They've lost that edge. They've lost that kind of team spirit where everyone's pulling in the same direction. Glasner says he's leaving because he feels like he can't give 100%. Is he not giving 100% right now? Is he kind of tired of the situation? Do they need to change manager? Because they are also very much in danger with their form of being sucked into this relegation battle, and with Mateta could be set to leave, with Guehi already gone. All of a sudden you're looking at that squad and like, where is the star quality? They've got Wharton, obviously, but if Mateta does leave, that you're losing a source of goals. They really could be in trouble, and they're not winning games at the moment, and they're really, really struggling, and they're conceding soft goals. And the first goal, just playing Estival through on goal, like, shocking defending. But those mistakes, I feel like, start to happen more regularly once the team dynamic starts.
It's confidence.
Apart.
It's confidence, I think. But to be fair to Palace in this game, I thought they created more in this game than they have done in recent weeks. They actually were able to hurt Chelsea's backline a little bit. And they created a fair few chances and maybe could have scored more than one goal. They really could. Adam Wharton sending off in this game, though, that is a big loss for them in a massive game next week. They play Forest next.
Big game.
And they need Adam Wharton for that game. They need him.
Yeah, I think they did, but again, Mateta missed a 1-on-1 early on. But after that, I thought Chelsea did take control. And then after we went to 3-0, they did have a late flurry late in the game. But yeah, if you watch the game, I think they deserve to lose. I think Chelsea
did deserve to lose, yeah.
Team. Fair play to Rossini, he's doing a good job, and it was a good win. But I think they played Palace at the right time, I think.
Absolutely.
But is Glasner, is he going to go, you think? Do they need to sack him?
I think if they lose this next weekend to Nottingham Forest,
and that's that, they'll be level on points with them, yeah.
Yeah, then I think alarm bells might start to ring and they might make the change. But it's just like, I think the way they're looking at it is like, we can't bring in anyone better than Glasner right now.
Yeah.
Well,
But he's not getting 100%.
I know, that's the thing. So I think they've been holding on to it for dear life. There was obviously hot rumours that he was going to go at the end of, 2 weeks ago, I think it was now. If I was in Palace's situation, I probably would cut my losses and move on.
Would you, if you're a Palace fan, would you take going down but winning the Conference League? Back-to-back trophies, considering no trophies in their lifetime.
Probably not.
Probably not.
No. I think the deal for Palace that is right there in their faces, that is just the thing to keep this continuity going, is Thomas Frank at the end of the season, or Thomas Frank whenever he loses his Tottenham job. I think that would be such a good fit.
I think they're watching that situation very closely. I wouldn't be surprised if they've earmarked Thomas Frank and be like, if he ever goes to Tottenham, bring him in, because I think he could do great at Palace. And I think he could do a good job at Palace.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Newcastle against Aston Villa. 2-0 to Villa. Sim went for 3-1 to Newcastle. I went for 2-1 to Newcastle. They can't keep getting away with it.
Every time. It's madness. No, to be fair, they played very well in this game. Like, I was watching some of the game and some of the highlights, and as much as obviously the first goal was a phenomenal hit from Buendia, what I've noticed about Villa is they're very good at engineering those spaces outside the box to get their player time and space to line up a shot. And look, if you give players with the quality of Buendia and Rodgers time and space to shoot from in and around the box, they've clearly shown they've got unbelievable quality to put it in the back of the net. So there's not a fluke that they're scoring, but how they keep scoring at goals from outside the box at this unprecedented rate is incredible. At this point, you have to say you just got to stop them shooting from outside the box, because I think they're the top of the league for outside the box goals. 13 goals have they been scored from outside the box this season for Aston Villa.
Such a great hit from Wendy.
Unbelievable. And they did a very clever thing yesterday of Villa, where because Newcastle's strength is in central midfield, but they had no Bruno yesterday. They played 2 number 10s of Rodgers and Buendia, on top of having Tielemans and Onana and Bogard, I think it was. Or maybe it wasn't Onana. No, they had Onana as well. So they had those 3, and they had the 2 number 10s. Sorry, they had 2. Tielemans came off. They had Tielemans, Onana, and then they had the 2 number 10s of Buendia and Rodgers, and Sancho tucking inside as well. So basically no width, very, very narrow. And it just meant that every time Newcastle tried to play through the centre, they had an overload either on the ball with the 2 number 10s picking up all these kind of pockets in the half space, and they could stretch Newcastle's midfield without Bruno Guimaraes, and on the ball, without Bruno, they didn't quite have the passing ability they usually do, and so they could smother them, and Newcastle really struggled in this game. And I thought they would be the better side. Although Newcastle did have their chances, obviously Tonali had an unbelievable chance in the first half, and they probably should have scored a goal and equalised in the second half. Villa deserved the win, and a very good result, and a very impressive result after playing in Turkey. What do you call it? Playing in Turkey in midweek, winning that game, winning this game, closing the gap back on Arsenal after everyone had written them off. They're level on points with City, with 15 games to go. maybe got to start taking them more seriously. But I still think they need a signing or two if they're really going to have a serious chance at it.
Well, Sim, look at this. Unai Emery said last week or 2 weeks ago when they lost that they're not even competitors for the top 5. Mm-hmm. They are currently 4 points behind Arsenal, 23 games gone. Last game of the season, they go to the Etihad, which is crazy, isn't it?
Madness.
In Man City's last 4 games, they play Arsenal and Villa.
Wow. It could be a crazy end to the season for them. It will be interesting to see if they get distracted by the Europa League when it gets to the kind of knockout stages. Obviously, it's a big competition for Emery, who has won it many times. Or is it going to be full concentration on the Premier League? I mean, going to St James's Park.
I would dream, man. I would dream for the Premier League.
Going to St James's Park is always a difficult place to go. So to win there after playing on Thursday is very impressive, and they just keep going on, don't they, Villa, every single time, and make a mockery of every XG stat there is out there. If you've got any kind of argument that XG is nonsense, Villa would be right at the top of it at the moment, because I think when it comes to XG created in this season and conceded, they're near the bottom of most of these stats. Yeah, here they are, third of the league. And when you talk about not being competition for top 5, they are 10 points clear of 6th. Mm-hmm. So the chances of them dropping out that top 5 are getting lower and lower by the week.
They've got such a decent run of fixtures now as well. You know, Brentford at home, Bournemouth away, Brighton at home, Leeds at home, Wolves away.
Could they build some momentum?
I really
Those are the
think
games
they
they struggle
can.
against more, I feel.
Maybe. But on paper, the Villa fans must be looking at this saying, we've actually got a decent shot here.
They just keep going. I think if I'm the Villa board, now's the time. Now's the time to really strike and get a signing through the door, even if it's just one, to just get this.
Finances don't allow. They brought in Tammy Abraham because the finances don't allow.
I think Abraham will help them, but they need a bit more than that.
Yeah, I mean, when you're trying to go for the title, Tammy Abraham doesn't smack of all right, we're going for a title here.
No, but the main thing is it could maybe get more out of Watkins.
I mean,
he's in great form, but they need to make sure he stays fit and stays in this form, and getting Abraham will hopefully help that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to Arsenal 2, Manchester United 3 in the game of the weekend by far. Sim went for 2-1 to Arsenal, as did I, but this was a turn up for Manchester United. Michael Carrick is cooking at Manchester United, and I'll tell you what, this must prove to Spurs fans and the hierarchy, making a change and bringing an interim sometimes can work, and Michael Carrick is definitely proving that. Look, I think when the game started, Arsenal go 1-0 up, and Arsenal started the game pretty well, didn't they?
They did.
And you're thinking, all right, this is Michael Carrick's coming crashing down here, and it's going to be a routine victory for Arsenal. The fans were up for it, and you could sense it was a big occasion inside the Emirates, that's for sure. Then Man United kind of scored with a really bad mistake from Zubimendi just playing through Man United. But the warning signs were there before Zubimendi put Mbeumo in. And you're thinking, wow, what is going on here? It just felt like Arsenal were just like shitting the bed a little bit.
It was almost literally to the minute when Arsenal scored is when these mistakes started. Like within 30 seconds after Arsenal scored, Mbeumo was through on goal and they kind of managed that situation. But like it was really strange. It was like as soon as they scored, they shut the bed.
Yeah, it's true. And I don't know what it is, but Arsenal, they don't seem to have the mentality. I've said it time and time again this season and last season. Whenever there's a kind of key game where they need to win to put themselves ahead, or when other teams drop points around them, they seem to just lose their heads. And I know Man City won the game, but this was another case of them losing their heads, in my opinion. Like, Manchester United, after Man United got back in the game, Man United were the better team, and Arsenal deserved to lose the game. Arsenal did nothing up until, when they scored 2-2, that was completely against the run of play, like completely. Man U the better team. The goals that they scored were just fantastic. Dorgu's goal to put them 2-1 up was like, wow, what a goal, man. The kind of 1-2 touches, the finish from Dorgu, fantastic. And then when Arsenal got back into the game with the bundled in corner, as they always do, you're thinking, all right, maybe Arsenal going to nick this towards the end. But no, a few minutes later, Cunha rifles it in. And some of the Arsenal fans' reaction is just absolutely priceless this morning.
You know what? It was absolutely so nice to see a team like Man United against a team like Arsenal, where Arsenal were very much relying on the fact that they're getting things from set pieces, trying to bully Man United, trying to kind of not score the most aesthetically pleasing goals, basically not relying on their own quality to bend one in from 25 yards or little kind of interplay in the central areas, very much relying on safe crosses from the sides, or trying to force the ball home from set pieces or force own goals and things like that. And that's pretty much how Arsenal tried to win the game yesterday. And it was so nice to see a team like Man United breaking with purpose, playing some lovely combination play, using the quality of their players, knowing that if he's got time and space from 25 yards, go for goal because you're good enough to score. And the goals that they scored, the beautiful, incredible goals that Man United scores, because they trusted their players with the quality they've got to score some beautiful goals. And it feels like Arsenal are just so risk averse under Arteta. They've been like that for a lot of this season, for a lot of games, and it's almost like they don't want to kind of allow any sort of risk in case, you know, Mbeumo can get in behind or whatever. So they just try and control every facet of the game and every facet of the pitch, and it works for them because they're so physically dominant and they've got such an aggressive team that they are very good at it. But it also leads to a lot of stodgy kind of interplay within the players, and they're relying on just basically playing the numbers when it comes to getting low balls across the face of goal, or getting crosses in the box, and banking on one of their very strong players to win a key battle in the box and force something. And that's kind of what happened early on. But there's definitely something psychological in that team where as soon as they're getting too close to either pulling away or like putting themselves in a insurmountable position or a very strong position, something psychological happens in that team.
I think it stems from Arteta, because Arteta puts the handbrakes on so much and he's always so wary about the opposition and the opponents. I think it makes the Arsenal players second guess how good they actually are, because they've got an unbelievable squad there. They've got the best squad in the Premier League. They've got unbelievable talent in the forward line. They've got unbelievable talent all over the pitch. And when the manager is managing in the way they are and, you know, making them second guess how good they are, maybe that's where the kind of vulnerabilities and insecurities actually come from. I think it actually could come from the manager.
Yeah, I think at those moments when you're 1-0 up against Man United, I think it actually set the tone, the fact that they went 1-0 up, they're obviously on top, and then Mbeumo has that chance within a minute, and you see Arteta going crazy, right? But at that point, I understand he's frustrated, but I think the messaging from him at that point is probably, look, we're 1-0 up, no easy goals being conceded. But it led to this kind of atmosphere of fear you could see. All of a sudden, Saliba's making a poor decision. He lets the ball run across his body when any other time in the game, he just sorts it out himself and he nearly gives Bruno a goal. He had to make a last-ditch tackle with his toe to stop Bruno getting a tap in. And then Zubimendi makes a mistake when they're trying to play out from the back, because why does that mistake come about? Because he's actually trying to play the safe option by playing it back to Ray instead of actually looking positively, looking forward, because that all of a sudden this fear took over them and they started making mistakes. Fear can lead to mistakes. And when you're trying to be too risk averse, it can lead to more errors in a paradoxical way, because you're trying not to make mistakes, so mistakes are on your mind. And sometimes that can play on your mind. I feel like that happened in the next 5 minutes after Arsenal scored. United didn't do anything special. They just maybe pressed a bit higher and tried to force a few mistakes. But Arsenal played right into their hands. And it was almost like before the goal, they were trying to gift them a goal. But it was like they were trying their best to give United a goal before they actually scored. And I think that comes from Arteta probably in that moment. As soon as they had that little opening, United, after Arsenal scored, he was like, okay, we've got to stop that. Instead of like, okay, they had that moment, but we're on top here. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. But he kind of changed it. He's like, okay, maybe we need to kind of sit back a bit. And it kind of led to this atmosphere in the stadium as well, where everyone was getting nervous. The Arsenal players all of a sudden were like, okay, he's telling me, you know, we're too open here, and we got to make sure that we're not giving United anything, instead of having the mentality of, we've got them where we want them. Yes, they had a little opening, but let's finish them. Let's get the second goal and let's stay on top of them. And that never quite happened. And I think that has to come from, I don't know what messaging Arteta's giving on this team, but I feel like you saw his reaction to that little moment, and that was very telling to me, to how the preceding 5 minutes came about. And then United, I have to say, they played so well, especially after going 1-0 down and they're under pressure. Once they got into the game, some of their build-up was brilliant. You know what it really reminded me of? I know this is going to sound crazy, but it really reminded me of how they played football under Fergie, like in these big games. Remember, like back in the day when they used to go to the Emirates and they used to change the way they play. They used to sit back a bit, but just devastating on the counter of like Rooney and Ronaldo, some of their famous games. I feel like they played really similar to that in this game. It was like really refreshing to see. It was counter-attacking with a purpose, but it wasn't just sitting back. It was really effective build-up play, brave play. Lisandro Martinez playing in between the lines, playing on the half-turn. Bruno playing some like first-time through balls in behind to Mbeumo, just ready and waiting to make those runs. As well, when they got the opportunities in and around the box, not hesitating, but going for goal, knowing they got the quality to hit the target and score a goal and cause problems. And it really reminded me of some of those classic games under Fergie back in the day when they used to go to big teams and counter-attack well. They used to change their approach and be a bit more pragmatic. They never went there looking for draws. They always went there going for the win. And it was refreshing to see Carrick there, 2-2, brings on Sesko, doesn't settle for a draw, and they go on and win the game. And that was, to have implemented that within a week or 2 weeks at Man United, very, very impressive. And there's no surprise, maybe this is a guy who obviously played under Fergie, knows what it's about. Whether Fergie's football in this day and age with modern football is something that is going to work, who knows, but it definitely reminded me of those games.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And it felt like just watching it was like an old classic Arsenal Manchester United game.
Yeah, it did.
I completely agree with that. But Arsenal shit in the bed. No two ways about it. Arsenal shit in the bed, and it's brought up all these conversations now about Arteta, about the constant bottling of performances and of seasons that Arsenal have done over the last couple of years. And there's some of the stats coming out now of Arsenal's forward players are really, really poor, man. You're looking at Trossard hasn't scored in his last 11 games. Madueke hasn't scored in his last 25 games. Saka, goalless in his last 13 games for Arsenal. Gyökeres, we know the struggles that he's had this season. Odegaard, for me, he's been poor since the beginning of last season. So they have got underperforming players all across the front line. And I don't know, I'm looking at that. And I'm looking at Bukayo Saka because Bukayo Saka used to be able to create a chance out of nothing for himself. Maraud down that right-hand side, cut in, have a shot, score a goal. He just doesn't seem like the same player. Like, he's still dangerous, don't get me wrong, but he is not pulling up those goal contributions that Arsenal desperately need right now.
Yeah, I also feel like Saka's never been the kind of player where if they're struggling in a game, he'll pull one out the bag with a out of nowhere with a bit of magic. Like, let's say like Bale used to do for Tottenham. We're struggling in a game, give it to Bale, he'll do something. I always feel like those moments from Saka where you see him score like beautiful goals, it always seems to be in games where they're 2-0 up already, and then he'll go and bang one in, you know what I mean? I think you very rarely see Saka score an opening goal, which has been like a moment of magic, a moment of brilliance from him, in my opinion. I'm not saying he's a bad player by any stretch, but I don't think he's a player you can rely on for a moment of magic when you need it. At the moment, he hasn't proven to be that. He's obviously a player with unbelievable talent, the way he rides challenges, the way he consistently beats his fullback and gets in behind and stuff like that. But I think people put him in this bracket with some of the top wingers in the world. I'm not saying he's not necessarily one of the best wingers like in the Premier League. I'm just saying people put him in a bracket with some of these incredible goal-scoring wingers right now because of what he's capable of. But when it comes to the big moments, I think he hasn't shown it yet. Maybe he will develop that. He's still young, 24. But at this current moment in time, he hasn't shown to be that player who really steps up in crucial moments when Arsenal are maybe floundering, and where maybe in seasons gone by when Man City are struggling, you'll have a De Bruyne just step up and score from 25 yards, or Haaland will find something, or Mahrez even, whatever. So some of these players who can just pull a rabbit out the hat with a bit of individual brilliance. I feel like Arsenal, that's where they're struggling. They're so kind of heavily reliant on the system and the way Arteta plays and set pieces, where it kind of stifles their just individualness of the players. And when was the last time we've seen Odegaard step up from 25 yards and bury one again when Arsenal have really needed him to? Same, and I think the same with Saka. And apart from Odegaard and Saka, I look at the other teams, and I know Trossard's a good player, but he's more one who, like, you know, he's a good finisher.
He's not a title-winning player, though, Trossard.
He's not going to win you.
He's a title-winning squad player. So he's not someone that should be starting week in, week out.
I look at Odegaard and Saka; those are only two players who I think are probably capable of it, and they just don't. I thought maybe Eze might bring that to them, but he hasn't been trusted, and that's gone completely wrong at the moment. It's been quite a while. When was the last time he started? I don't know. I
think the week after Tottenham.
That was the last time he started a game
in the Premier League. Yeah,
that's crazy. That was in November.
Yeah,
like. Clearly, there's something going on there. You don't play a big money signing that little and start him that few games if there's all right behind the scenes. I don't know if he knows how to use him, where to use him, if he's doing the right things. Maybe it's a case of it just adaptation period, but something seems off there. Between he's cutting an unhappy figure. He came on with half an hour to go and did absolutely nothing.
So yeah, he started Tottenham, scored a hat-trick. Since then, he started against Chelsea in the 1-1 draw in the Premier League. I think he started against Aston Villa.
Yes, that was he went off at half-time, didn't he?
Yeah, he started that game and went off at half-time.
He lost Cash scored.
And since then, the only game he started is Wolves.
And that's telling, because in that game, Cash gets in behind him. He's not tracking his man and scores. And ever since then, it's like Arteta's held that against him ever since, and he's just not. And I thought as well, like he was coming to maybe play on the left sometimes, but he was going to come in to be another number 10 to partner Odegaard, and they were going to have Rice, Eze, or Zubimendi and Eze.
But there was also a suggestion that he was going to play on the left wing when Odegaard was playing, and they spent all this money, and one of their key areas going into the transfer window was they needed to upgrade on the left wing. Mm-hmm. And they're still stuck there with Martinelli, who he doesn't want to trust in the Premier League, and Trossard, who hasn't scored in 11 games. And I know Trossard had a really good start to the season, but like I said before, Trossard is not that guy that should be starting in a title-winning team. Squad player, yes.
I think that's what they're missing. And I think when you're comparing them in this title race to Man City, I think when you've got Foden there, who's proven, by the way, a couple of years ago at least, when how many times like they were struggling games and Foden would just pull a rabbit out of the hat, and he's capable of that. They've got Cherky, who's capable of that, and we'll see in the big moments if he does it. But obviously they've got him, and they've got Haaland, who obviously just shits goals, and he's like someone who can just pop up at any moment and score. That's the difference in the attacking play. Obviously, the thing for Arsenal is at any moment they can score from a corner. So that's what they've got in their locker. When it comes to their attackers, that could well be the difference. Now, City are clearly struggling when it comes to getting that balance right, and obviously they've lost their two key defenders, and now they've signed Guehi. Could that be them trying to establish that kind of solidity again, which they had for a period where it looked like they were unstoppable, but then once they lost their defenders, it seemed like everyone was just exploiting them week in, week out, and then all of a sudden that kind of balance was lost. But now they've got Guehi, and once they get one of their defenders back, I think Diaz is going to be back in soon.
The thing is,
maybe they can start getting those magic guys happening in the forward line again.
The thing is about Arsenal, I actually look at it, and I know they're obviously a really good team, Arsenal, but I see like a lot of the problems that Arteta heaps on Arsenal. I actually draw a couple of similarities to Frank and Tottenham. Obviously, they've got a lot better players, so they can handle it a bit better, but he just focuses way too much on the opposition, heavily reliant on set pieces. Like, every goal Arsenal seem to score seems to be a carbon copy of each other. Either it's a cross and it's an own goal, or it's a bundled in from a corner. Like, I'm looking at Spurs, and obviously we're very heavily reliant on corners as well, and we're obviously we're a terrible team right now, but we've got better players than what we're showing. Arsenal also have better players than what they're showing right now. I know it's not exactly the same situation, but I draw a few similarities, just Arsenal are doing it with a much higher ceiling.
Yeah, and I think Arteta is just obsessed with just controlling everything, making sure there is no stone left unturned, and I think it's kind of playing on the Arsenal players' mind in recent weeks. Look, they are still top and they are still 4 points clear. But if I think in a different scenario, they could be running away with this title right now. They should really be 10 points clear.
Yeah, look, you could say that, but then there's another situation to say, Man City could be running away with it as well with the amount of points Arsenal have been dropping recently. They haven't won their last 3 games, Arsenal.
Yeah, but City have won 1 in the last 4.
That's what I'm saying. So either team could have run away with it.
No, but my point is City have had problems, like with their defence and stuff. Arsenal haven't had those problems. They've got their team pretty much fully fit. They
have had injuries this season.
No, I'm not saying they're not, but they haven't. But right, they've had injury. City have had injuries with Gvardiol and Diaz. Who comes in? This 18-year-old centre-back from Watford. Arsenal had injuries. Who's been playing? Hincapié, Calafiori, Timber, Ben White. These are the players coming in. So they've got really no excuse for these performances, even with the injuries, because they've got good players coming in. Man City's a bit of a different kettle of fish, and they're a bit in transition at the moment with a big change up in the squad. But whatever, that's not massive. That's not an excuse. It's just reality. So Arsenal, with these games, when the lineup they put out against Forest, against Liverpool, against United, good enough to win all those games, and they've let all those opportunities pass them by, nearly dropping points to even Wolves as well. But I'm just saying, they really should have. They didn't do all they could to win the last 3. I think, like Forest, people saying that's a good point. Does it look like a good point now?
I said whoever said that is absolutely bonkers. You can't be going to Forest with 4 losses on the bounce or whatever and say that's a good point. If you have ambitions of getting away from Man City, you have to win those games. You have to, and you've got to win this game, and you've got to win all the games that they're dropping points, and you need to take every point that is truly possible, because on any given occasion, Man City could just go flick a switch and win 10 games in a row. You know what I mean? You cannot give them a sniff, Manchester City. We know what they're capable of, and now you look at Man City. Bang! January transfer window comes. Semenyo comes in. Mark Gehi comes in. Straight away they've made 2 top class signings. So I think it's obviously still Arsenal's to lose because they're 4 points clear. But if I was an Arsenal fan right now, I would not be confident of winning that title. And I think a Man City got to be sniffing blood right now.
Yeah, for sure, because Arsenal just can't seem to get away from them totally as hard as they try. And are they scared of bottling it? Because these performances have been a bit of a bottle job in recent weeks in terms of just when you watch them play, there's something not quite right. They don't seem to be kind of it's like they're not approaching these games with the excitement, to go and win. It's almost like they're fearful of what if we drop points rather than we should be going clear here.
It's not just the squad as well, it's the fans.
Yeah,
the fans have also got
booing at the end of the game.
Was it booing at the end of the game? I think
it wasn't like loud, but there were boos.
But the fans have PTSD from 2 seasons ago. The amount of Arsenal fans, they just always refer to that season of whenever they're 8 points clear, however many points clear they were, and they bottled it. Obviously, last season was horrendous from them, but the fans are emotionally and mentally scarred from that season, and it's showing. So. And it's showing in here, and I think the squad are as well. And Arsenal, in that second half of the season that year, they pretty much couldn't have done much more to win the league. They won what? They won like 18 out of 19 games.
Something like that.
In the second half of the season. They must be thinking, like, what more can we do to win the league? We've been near perfect here, second half of the season. So I genuinely believe that the fans and the squad are a bit emotionally scarred or mentally scarred from that. And I think it's showing this year, because going into this season, with the squad that Arsenal have, I think any other club, if Man City had that squad, if Liverpool had that squad, they're coming into that season going, all right, the title's ours. We're going to win that title this year. Arsenal weren't doing that. Arsenal were coming into it being like, yeah, maybe, if we win and we carry on this run, if we channel that kind of form that we had 2 years ago, we might win the league. Like, I don't hear any Arsenal fan really talking with confidence, suggesting that they can win the league. And that is all to do with what I was just talking about.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. But they got Leeds next.
Difficult game, man.
Game. They drop points in that all of a sudden.
I don't think they're winning that game.
I think they probably will.
I don't think so.
I think they probably will. Look, at the end of the day, as much as it was a bad loss, it was 2 unbelievable strikes from Man United in Cunha and Dorgun. Sometimes you got to hold your hands up and say those are just 2 special goals. But I think the problem for them is, look at the goals Arsenal scored, just bundling one over the line and an own goal. It wasn't like they created too many chances.
Arsenal lack threat. They massively lack threat. And I think as well, like, these teams in recent in recent weeks are showing a blueprint of how to take points off Arsenal. You sit in, try not give corners away or as little as you can give. You sit in, be compact, don't let them have too much space and hit them on the transition, hit them fast. You can get something against Arsenal. And I think, they haven't won in their last 3 games.
I think Man City's goal has to be, when do they go to the Etihad, Arsenal?
4 games to go.
4 games to go. By that time, they have to be just within 1 game. Just stay within touching distance of Arsenal. You get to the Etihad, and then do you trust Arsenal to go to the Etihad with all that pressure on them and not bottle it? That is the question. So if City can stay within 3 points of Arsenal come that game with the Etihad, that has to be the goal right now. So they're 4 points now. If Arsenal can draw 1 game and City get a win, I think just keep that pace. That has to be the goal. And I think if they do that, City will win the league.
Yeah, I mean, it's mad, isn't it, this title race? Because every few weeks, the general perception and feeling completely change on who's going to win the league. Because you're thinking, Arsenal's showing these bottling traits again. Man City are going to come and win the league. And then Arsenal go on a bit of a run of 3-4 games, not conceding and whatever. And just getting by games, you're like, this is just inevitable for Arsenal to win the league. So I think a lot of twists and turns still to come.
But considering that City went 4 games without a win, how it's back down to 4 points, Arsenal should be kicking themselves.
Absolutely. Judging by the squads of everyone, Arsenal, just on that alone, Arsenal should be clear. That squad is a monstrous squad. And, it's bringing up a lot of conversation. If Arsenal don't win the league or the Champions League this season, I mean, I think he'll keep his job. But do you think he'll keep his job? I think there'll be a clamour from a lot of the fan base for him to go.
Yeah, I think most people will still want him to stay. I think until they have a season where, I guess they did have it last season a bit, but they will still finish second. But until they have a season where clearly these players can't get themselves up for a title race anymore, and it's maybe if next season they're just battling for top 4 and they're completely out of the race, then maybe you've got to say, okay, this whole project needs a refresh. But I think as long as they're just battling for a title, even if they're finishing second, as long as there's a chance they win it come the end of the season, I think they will stick with him, because then you give yourself a chance of actually winning a title.
Yeah.
Because if you're battling for it, then you're in the race. There's no guarantee you'll be in the race with a new manager.
Yeah. The thing is though, there are rumours that Luis Enrique could potentially be leaving PSG at the end of this season.
Yeah.
If he is just sitting there, do they make the change?
They could do. I don't think they will. I think they're going to stick with him, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of fans calling for it. Yeah. I think the board have stuck by him through so much. I don't think if they finish second here, they're going to go, okay, you're gone. I think
I kind of look at it I think in years gone by they've had kind of at least excuses, because I don't think they've been the best team. But now they literally are the best team with the best squad.
Yeah, it's true.
There's no excuses this year.
I agree with that.
All right, so that was lovely for everyone to see last night, and yeah,
football won yesterday,
100%, and we'll see all the reactions a bit later. But just touching on Man United for a second and Michael Carrick, do you think there's a chance Michael Carrick gets the full-time role? Man City won. Arsenal won.
When was the first time someone's beaten the first place and second place in consecutive weeks? I don't know ever, to be honest. So that might be a first. But
didn't Villa do it a few months ago?
What, in consecutive weeks?
Didn't they beat Man City and Arsenal in 2 games in a row?
I don't know. It was 2 games. Was it 2 games in a row?
Or 2 games in 3 or something?
Maybe they have beaten City and Arsenal this season. It's true. But will he get the full-time role? I think he's putting his hat in the ring with these 2 wins. But I think as well, you've got to also take into account that it's 2 games where they have to play a very specific style where it comes to, which actually suit these players, which is...
it was months apart.
Okay. But they have to play quite a specific style against 2 teams where they know they're going to be a bit on the back foot and they're going to counter-attack them with the space that these teams are going to try and beat them with and exploit that. And he did that to a brilliant standard. Now it comes the times where the games ask for something different. Is he capable of breaking down a low block or playing against a mid block or all these different kind of things? So I think definitely it's an unbelievable. Couldn't have asked for a better start, but it's not enough on its own to give him the job.
Yeah, obviously not now, but I'm saying I think if he gets top 4, let's say, Well, you know what? If Arsenal lose this weekend and they win, they're 9 points behind the title. But if they have a really strong end to the season, does he stick in the job? Do they give him the job?
I think the plan right now is no.
Yeah.
But look, you can never rule it out. If he's that, they gave Ollie the job, didn't they? When I remember Gary Neville, when Ollie got the job, said the worst thing that United could do was Ollie have a great 6 months and give him the job permanently. And that's exactly what happened. So I wonder if they want to avoid that same mistake, albeit was it a mistake because he finished second the next season. So,
but Carrick is a really good up and coming manager.
But he also just got sacked from Borough.
Yeah, he did get sacked from Borough, but he also had a fairly successful tenure at Borough.
Yeah. I think he's got to put his hat in the ring. But if there's a great manager up for grabs in the summer, I don't know who that manager would be. But let's say a Tuchel, would they risk it with Carrick or go with someone like Tuchel?
Yeah. All remains to be seen. But yeah, Man United definitely in their best moment of the season by far. They're looking like sort of the breath of fresh air, aren't they?
But if let's say he does get top four and they go, okay, actually we're just going to go in another direction. Do you reckon Tottenham might put their hat in the ring for him?
For Carrick? No, I don't think so.
No?
No.
But you think United could keep him on?
If he has a very successful
That's what I'm saying. But let's say he does, but they say, actually, we're just going to go for Tuchel.
No, I don't think Spurs are going to go for it. I think Spurs know who they want. And that's Pochettino. All right, star men. Sim went for Harry Wilson. 1 goal, storming goal.
Nice.
And I went for Hugo Ekitike, who didn't even start the game. Ridiculous. How did he not start against Bournemouth away? It's mad.
Strikers, yeah.
But anyway, Sim, you are ahead for the first time this season. 220 points to 218.
Let's go.
And we did have a super chat commenting on that as well. It wasn't a super chat, it was just a chat from James saying, can we talk about the biggest league? Ben is choking on the ball. Come on, Sim. I know it's been since 1989 for your last win, but you got this.
1989? Does he know Ben's birthday? All right, so we've got, come on. This is my year. Talk about bottlers, mate. I think 3 years I've bottled it on the last day of the season. But this time, I'm going to have an insurmountable lead.
Yeah, you're the Arsenal of on the ball. Right? You're going to bottle it again.
Last day, 3 times it's happened on the last day. I got a big lead. Somehow, I had like a 10+ point lead. I've somehow lost it.
Yeah.
But this season,
maybe that lead is finally building again and you're going to lose it again.
Let's go.
But yeah, 220 to 218. That is the end of Review the Prem. Another super chat here from Matthew saying, we are Tottenham TV, no W's, here.
No, ER
Tottenham TV. Oh,
no. Very good, very good.
All right, let's go and see some internet reaction, people. I just need to get onto it. All right, here we are. Let's go and see some internet reactions to the weekend, starting off with Radu Christian saying the whole timeline is on fire. And I felt like there was like a general acceptance between a lot of teams yesterday. It was just like, yes, this is what, it felt like everyone was supporting Manchester United yesterday.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if my timeline is just because it's all Tottenham, but it did feel like that.
It feels nice when every fan base, it seems, like as a Tottenham fan who's obviously had to deal with a lot from Arsenal fans ever since I was young, and obviously especially when we were just like, or similar to now, we were awful and they were very good, and it was hard to take from Arsenal fans, and it's nice to know like now, like it wasn't just me who hated the Arsenal fans, it's just everyone gets it, not just Tottenham fans. All the other fans get it about them.
The thing is, right, over the last couple of years, they've obviously grown into a very good team, been in constant title races, Champions League semi-final last year. But the way they walk around and the way they handle themselves and the way they talk and just everything about them, they walk around like they're prime Barcelona and they're winning the league and Champions League every single season. Like, where does this come from the Arsenal fans? Like, seriously, where does it come from? And then when they lose, they're just like, oh my God, they just like go absolutely crazy.
I couldn't believe they were booed yesterday. I couldn't believe it. They're top of the league. I know the gaps up there. 4 points clear at the top, and yes, they lost to United, but they lost 3-2 from 2 great goals. I know they didn't play well, but it wasn't like a disgrace or like they were shocking or anything like that. They lost, and it can happen. And there's boos. Does that goes to show where the fan base is at, like inside that stadium? Like either you win or it's like it's a disgrace almost for some fans. And that I think that's like shocking. You haven't won the league since 2004. Like, this would be a monumental thing. There shouldn't be... I know it should be expected, given the fact with the squad. Don't get me wrong. They're favourites for the title. But it's almost like...
I don't think...
If you don't win the league, it's almost a disgrace.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
I think the boos stem from just frustration on the day. I don't think it's like, oh, we want Arteta out and we hate, everything that's going on here. I think it was frustration. I think it was also what this loss kind of represented, where everyone now is saying, they're on to another bottle job.
Right, but Arsenal fans shouldn't be saying that.
Yeah.
And them booing that.
PTSD.
But as I'm saying, that's my point. If you've got this PTSD, right, and all of a sudden you have this loss and you're booing, reinforcing that message, it's not just an off day, it's like you're bottling it again, guys. And it's like, do you think they need to hear that? You know what I mean? It's not a good message to send out from your own fans. And...
inject it into my veins, people. Inject those boos into my veins.
And I love this. I just love the video. Me and my bro, when it comes to hating Arsenal, I just love it. Just love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is what I feel with all my friends who all hate Arsenal.
I was speaking to a Liverpool fan last night, and we were just both just so happy. I tell you, I think last night might have been the happiest I've been this season.
Well, as I was saying, it's nice to know that it's not just because I'm a Tottenham fan that everyone sees the hate for Arsenal. I like that.
Is there such a thing as Dr. Arsenal?
Dr. Arsenal?
Is there a thing called Dr. Arsenal? No. Opta Joe says 121. Arsenal conceded 3+ goals in a match for the first time since December 2023 versus Luton, ending a run of 121 matches across all competitions without conceding more than twice. Wow.
Yeah, maybe it's the start of things to come. How are Luton the last team to score 3 goals against them, which is crazy?
I remember that game as well. Was it 4-3?
Yeah, they scored right at the last kick of the game over Arsenal.
Thing is, like, we all talk about the attacking flaws that Arsenal have, but actually, I've kind of noticed a few defensive flaws coming into their game this season as well. I know they kept 2 clean sheets before this, but in that run before the 2 clean sheets, there have been a few defensive mishaps in the back line for them there.
Well, yesterday they made mistakes, haven't they? And that's what caused it. I mean, it's hard to talk about them having defensive flaws when they still have the best defence in the league.
It's creeping in, though.
Yeah, but you're talking about them from having like one of the best defences we've ever seen at times to now. So they still got the best defence in the league.
Yeah, but look at it this way. A few months ago, you asked me the question and was trying to argue that they were going to break Chelsea's record for the best defensive record in the Premier League history. I said no chance is that going to happen this season.
I never said they were going to do it, did I?
Well, you were kind of suggesting it.
No, I don't think I ever said they were going to. Maybe I did.
You did.
I didn't say. I maybe we're putting the argument forward, but I never actually believed they were going to break it. But they've obviously not going to do it now. They need -2 goals.
Yeah.
They need 2 VAR chalk ops.
John Terry came out on his socials very happy. He popped a bottle of wine because of it.
My point being, even with these flaws, they're still like if a few things creeping in, they're still the best defence in the league.
Yeah, of course. I'm not saying
because every other team has way more flaws.
Yeah. Look, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is like they're not this impenetrable kind of defence which it looked like they were in the early stages of the season.
I mean, compared to everyone else in the league, they're impenetrable.
Compared to everyone else, I mean, they're conceding quite a few goals. Like there was a period where they were just getting clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet. That's not happening anymore.
Right, but no one else is being able to stifle anyone, really.
Correct, but I'm just looking at Arsenal here. I'm not looking at
City only
else.
4 goals above them.
Yeah.
It's actually not too different.
Troll Football Martinez, you ain't scoring, bro, so let me help you do your celebration.
That Gyökeres clearance at the end has to be... I know it was given a foul anyway, but it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen when he looked like he was going to go through and then he puts out for a throw.
I feel like whenever Gyökeres scores now, he's almost like... I see it in his face. Like, he's almost embarrassed to do that celebration now because it just comes out so rarely.
Can we talk about Gyökeres just for a sec?
Yes, we'd
love to talk about it. He, like, when I watch him play, he is so much worse than I thought he would be. he's not like, for example, like Darwin Núñez, yeah, when you watch him, he like would beat a player, he would like beat two players, go for 1-on-1 and then like sky it, but like he had something about him. Even then, like he saw like there was something good about him, even though he would like have unbelievable misses. Gyökeres looks like the most stodgy footballer on the ball. Like he runs in such a weird manner, and I watch him play like, this is really what they spent 65 million on. Well, look, it's not, for me, it's not the fact he's just not scoring goals. He looks awful.
He's it looks like he's like heavy-footed.
Yeah.
It looks like he's overweight at times. It looks like he's got nothing about him. Like,
it's
seriously,
really
it does look like he's got nothing about him. The only goals he scores is like bundled in at the back post, like completely open goals. I know he scored a good goal against Inter, but that's pretty much the only one. There is nothing about Gyökeres, and apparently he wasn't Arteta's first choice, and he wanted to go for Sesko ahead of Gyökeres, and it was Andrea Berta that was really pushing the Gyökeres thing. So I don't know, but I feel like if it wasn't for the injuries Arsenal had in the forward line, Jesus coming back from his ACL, Kai Havertz been out injured all season, I think he would have been out of the team a lot earlier. You know, big game last night, and he didn't even start.
Yeah, 100%. He looks like such a weird player. I don't know if this is a case of him settling into the league, or actually he's just not that good. Like, from what I've seen, like some players you can see, like if they get this right, and you can see they're going to be a very good player for a team, but it just hasn't worked by any stretch. And then when you look at him personally, how he plays, he actually doesn't look that great.
And he's so easily it's so easy to dispossess him. Like again, there's nothing about him. It takes ages for him to get a shot off. Like. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it, mate. Keep it coming. I haven't been
impressed at all by him. It's not even like I'm watching him thinking it's only a matter of time before he goes on a goal-scoring run. It doesn't look that way.
I'm looking at Arsenal compared to Manchester United, the front line. I think Bruno, Cunha and Mbeumo all start for Arsenal.
Bruno, Cunha and Mbeumo. What, Mbeumo over Saka?
I'll stick Mbeumo up front at this point.
It was very good. I think it was perfect in terms of how they wanted to play. Bruno over Odegaard for sure. Bruno was brilliant. And then Cunha on the left. Yeah, you're probably right about that. Probably right.
Which is mad, isn't it? Sky Sports Premier League. Arsenal, when scoring first in all competitions this season, 25 games, 24 wins, 1 loss.
That was yesterday. That's also, very, very impressive how United kept their heads, considering they went down and Arsenal had, on top of them, and bam, they managed to stay in the game, and not just do that, but very impressive. United, have to say yesterday, really impressive how they played through Arsenal, and it wasn't just like hoofing it up and counter-attacking. They played some really incisive counter-attacking with a purpose, and it was really good.
Tottenham Independence transfer stories. We go again. Not this again,
Who's
man.
Going through one-on-one next week?
Probably Bawani. He won't even have to try and miss. But yeah, I'm not getting into all this season, man. It's too early on.
The question is, if we lose, will there be boos if we lose, or boos if we win?
I think there will be a section of the fan base that would probably want us to lose, but for me, I think it's way too early on in the season. Like that one that the picture of when Son missed was such a different game. That literally was the defining game of the season. If we would have taken points off Man City, Arsenal literally would have been handed the trophy.
Yeah.
Now it's completely different. There's still so much football left to be played. I think for me, what I've seen from Arsenal so far, like they don't need us to help them win the league. They're going to bottle it themselves. You know what I mean? So we got our own problems to worry about. I'm not worried about Arsenal winning the league and helping Man City and all that kind of stuff. Like, we need to save ourselves from relegation.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So, troll football fans today. I don't care if Man U wins. I just want Arsenal to lose.
Honestly, I think that's from everyone. I've got so many fans of other clubs who just can't stand Arsenal. Yeah. Everyone just wants them to lose. Brilliant.
Absolutely. Extra time. This is the melee in the box yesterday, just before Arsenal scored the corner. No, it wasn't. It was in stoppage time. Just like being on the train.
Just like being on the tube, honestly. Probably more crowded. But yeah, what is this football, honestly, from Arsenal? It's like they're trying to turn football into rugby, honestly.
Yeah.
It's so I think how does football cope with this kind of thing? Like, they're basically stopping lemons from jumping or getting to the ball, which is fine. Like, they got to use every tactic in their armory. But is this what we want to see? Is this like the football we want the team who wins the league to be? This is how they're winning. You know what I mean? This is why it was such a victory for football yesterday.
The thing is, right, I don't mind if a team does this and has this as a tactic and have this up their sleeve. But where I have a problem with when it's the only thing that they have. You know what I mean? Like, at least play some good football to go along with it.
It seems like Arsenal, they try and win set pieces. That's what their football's like geared towards, is like getting those set pieces.
Yeah.
You see it, the crowd was so nervous up until they win a corner. Then all of a sudden they're up for it and they're like, oh my God, we're going to score.
Spurs fans aren't too different right now.
Yeah, literally. Honestly.
We're the only team that have scored more corners. Well, it's level now after they scored for corner yesterday. United May says, how Arsenal fans expect Maguire to fall, literally.
Let me just face plant, just so the Arsenal fans are happy. Yeah, I didn't think that was a handball. I know his arm was there, but where's he supposed to put his arm? He's breaking his fall. Like, what do you want him to do? Just fall flat on his face?
Exactly. Sarah says, coming this May to a theatre near you, The Bridesmaid.
Fantastic. Oh my!
They're going to watch their big brother, their big sister get married in this May.
Haaland get married again.
Next one is Opta Joe. Arsenal have conceded 2+ goals from outside the box in the Premier League for only the second time at the Emirates. Spurs in the 4-4 and 3-2 against Man United yesterday. That's mad. That's a mad stat.
Yeah, been a long time. And 4-4 was a great day.
Yeah, it was.
This one was
I was there that day. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Centre goal saying Noddy Madueke has recorded 0 Premier League assists in the last 406 days. Wow. And Noddy Madueke hasn't scored a Premier League goal for a year. His last goal was on January 25th, 2025. I mean, it's true. Those stats are true. But, I mean, the guy barely plays.
Still plays, though.
Yeah, hardly. I mean, he comes on 5-10 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes. I don't know, probably not many.
Nah, he's probably had. Well, he's had a few starts.
Hardly started. He started a bit when Saka was out injured, and that's it.
He has played. Where is he? This season, 7 starts. Wait, where's the Premier League? Yeah, in the Premier League. 7 starts.
7 starts in 23 games.
590 minutes. No, it's not that many minutes, is it?
That's what I'm saying.
He averages 42 minutes a game. So he still plays. He should get at least something.
Yeah. You'd expect maybe 1 or 2 goals, but I mean, I think it's harsh to talk about it like that when he barely plays.
I mean, is it? He hasn't scored. He hasn't got an assist in a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's still a long time.
It is a long time. I know, don't get me wrong, but like, I know Saka's still getting like minimal numbers, but I think the Saka one is more embarrassing than the Madueke one because just Madueke is not playing as much. Saka is like their main guy.
Yeah, but they signed him for decent money, didn't they? Will they get the No to Madueke mural back out? What was it? What was it when they signed him? Was it? What was it?
It was just tweets, wasn't it?
No, wasn't there a whole thing? Didn't someone paint something? Or was it just tweets?
I think it was just an online thing.
Maybe it was just an online thing. Didn't someone paint? I have a memory of someone painting something.
Don't know.
Can't remember.
The vandalism.
Vandalism.
And they vandalised something, the Arsenal fans.
Oh, in the tunnel. Did they hashtag No to Madueke in the tunnel?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they painted something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
So someone says Nonny hat-trick incoming.
Yeah, probably.
So obviously going to happen.
Absolute Bruno tweets out that Arteta is a terrorist, man.
Yeah, obviously the same picture, but so true, honestly. But I don't understand, why does everyone not do this? Why are we allowing Arsenal to get away with it and not everyone is doing it? Why does not everyone just crowd it? If Arsenal are getting away with it, why is not everyone following
The thing is, like, Arsenal are so good on corners because they use this dirty tactics. We're actually genuinely good at corners.
Yeah, true. We've done some really good stuff actually with getting Romero free.
Yeah.
And finding little pockets of space in the box. We're actually very good at that.
Exactly. Jorgensen has Jova in his back pocket, mate. This one is they can't win the league, man. This is disgusting. And this is the stats I was talking about before. So Bukayo Saka, 0 goals in his last 13 appearances in all comps. Gyökeres, 0 non-penalty goals in his last 11 Premier League appearances. Martinelli, 0 goals in his last 13 Premier League appearances. Madueke, 0 in 25. And Trossard, 1 goal in his last 11.
I do find it funny they've kind of used different stat for every player just to make it look as bad as possible. But yeah, I mean, they're still worrying stats, aren't they? Who else do they have in their forward line? They got Jesus,
Odegaard.
Odegaard. What's Odegaard done?
Yeah, nothing.
Has he been doing anything as well? So they are so. I mean, I think someone went through it the other day when they literally all that. I mean, obviously they won a lot of games, but like I think something like 70 or 80% of their wins have the opening goal has come from a set piece. They're just so heavily reliant on it.
Set pieces and Rice and Zubamendi and own goal is their third top goal scorer.
Which is mad. But it's weird that yes, their top goal scorer has like 5, but they also have like pretty much all their squad at least 3 or 4, which is makes up for it in a way.
If they get another own goal next game, own goal is their top goal scorer over halfway through a season.
Wow.
Troll Football saying a short story. Get it back to 2-2, and then the Arsenal kick in. I love it.
Fantastic.
This one is Arsenal hitting Arsenal at the back of there. They are their own worst enemies, aren't they?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hater Central, big up Hater Central. Eze versus Manchester United, 58 minutes in natural position. Yeah, 58 minutes.
Oh, including there was 8 minutes added on, wasn't there?
Oh, right.
Doesn't make sense. I don't know.
No, he played. He came on in the second half. He came on in 55 minutes.
So where does it say? Why does he said 50? I don't know. He's just trying to roll up some Arsenal fans by.
I don't know. Either way, it's all worked out. It all worked out.
He came on the 58th minute.
Right.
So maybe he got that one.
It's just got it wrong there.
Yeah.
All right, and the last one is, my name is Mikel Arteta, and this is what my team relies on to score goals after 7 years of insane backing with time and funds. It is true. It's like the amount of money he's spent, the years that he's been in the job, and this is the end product. It's mad.
Honestly,
this is what he's been working towards all these years.
He's basically his phase 7 is Tony Pulis, essentially.
Mad. Because like 2-3 years ago, they were playing like proper high-intensity, free-flowing football.
People say if he was still playing that, the season where they were 8 points clear with 5 games to go and they bottled it. Yeah. People saying if he just stuck with it, they probably would have a league title by now. But Pep's ruined his mind. Pep's just like completely driven him mad. And now he's like, I have to be Pulis.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But yeah, that is it. That is the way the internet did react to a fine weekend of football. And we do it all again this weekend, people. Champions League midweek and then back into Premier League action this weekend. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And we'll see you next time, people.